Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy, my channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to go over gold and silver daily technical analysis. We're going to go over the dollar, 10-year yield, the precious metals, and then ETFs and some of the individual companies give us a wide array on what this sector's doing. It doesn't look like, well, we'll see. We'll see with the charts. I haven't really looked at the charts too much today. So was getting involved in work, doing other things. So this is the first time I'm looking at them too with you guys. And again, this is just my financial opinion. Please do not use it as advice. But let's dive into the charts. I'll tell you what I see and what potentially could be coming. So this is what I've got for the dollar here. We've got this trend line coming up here. Hit here, hit there. We broke down to the downside and we've been coming on up recently. We zoom on in. This is what that coming on up period looks like. The dollar has been getting stronger. Sometimes, but not always, there's a loose correlation between the dollar and precious metals and commodities. The dollar strengthening against other currencies sometimes is perceived as strength in the dollar, so then commodities sometimes sell off. We are in a strengthening dollar run right now, and it's been strengthening kind of up, maybe perhaps towards this resistance line, doing a retest move. It kind of comes down, it retests back, and then it comes on down. We could still move up quite a bit and hit that resistance level, kind of at 98, 99 for the index. Looking at the 10-year yield, remember this is a yield. We have an inverted head and shoulders pattern. We've been caught between the neckline and a downtrend line, and we're kind of bouncing back and forth. Zooming in on it, we've been going back and forth, chopping sideways with the yield. Usually when yields dive quite dramatically, and when I mean dramatically, I mean like they start from up here and drop like this. They pause and they drop again. So when you see these things start to really fall off the face of the cliff, that means that you've got problems coming our way. We're just kind of just chilling out, going sideways here. We do have some support kind of where it's at back here. And we're not diving down. We're not really going up. We're going kind of nowhere, just chopping sideways for the most part. And that's us chopping sideways right there. So no clear direction, really. I don't think the market's perceiving inflation. I don't think it's perceiving a market sell-off either. It's just chopping sideways. Gold, up $4 today. Doesn't look too bad. We'll zoom way in on it. It's just been going up and down above this support resistance line. And we're just above it right now, chopping sideways. Big picture view, big old massive pattern to the upside. If you guys are patient, and we're in this consolidation pattern, right at the bottom of the consolidation pattern. I think it's a good spot to be looking at gold, personally, but looking at silver, we've got some support right underneath it at $22 an ounce. We're at $22.30. If we zoom in, we're right bouncing off that support right now. This is the support underneath it. Dipped below it. We came back up. What this is we've got a downtrend line. We're squaring up the downtrend line. Hopefully we can get some buyers to step in here and push it higher. If we don't get buyers to step in and push this higher, we could see a break to the downside and this come back a good ways. It could come down to, $18 or so if it were to break to the downside. Looking at platinum looks like it's selling off today, getting a little weaker. Now we could dip into the 800s here if we lose some support here. So we're going to zoom in. We got that support. I'll zoom way in on it. This is the support line I'm talking about, and we're just playing with it. I can't tell you if this thing's going to dive down or if we're going to move on up. So it's difficult to say. Big picture view though, big old pattern broken to the upside, and we're doing that return move. And the return move could come all the way back down to 850, 860, somewhere in there. Potentially. It might not. What I do is I look at cost averaging in around this time frame because it is very cheap. The XAU to gold ratio looks like we're coming on back still. Get out of the log because this is a ratio. Coming on back, it's just moving sideways, zooming in on it. This is a 1-year chart. You know, we're coming on back here. Let me look. Looking at support, we've got support right where it's at. I mean, we've got the tops of here, tops of here. So we do have support where it's at. Karora Resources looks like it's putting in a bullish engulfing pattern here. Zooming in, that's what this big green up day is today. So we pulled on back and we're putting in a bullish engulfing. Usually that means we want to head higher. So Karora Resources looks good. EXK is still in this pullback mode, but it's finding some support, hopefully, in this area. Back here, we got support underneath it at about 360, 370 or so. SILJ is the ETF. Big picture view, we're just kind of chopping sideways in the 1, 2, 3. Hopefully we're going to break at some point. It's going to take some time. Pulling on back, we had a inverted head and shoulders, and that failed. And we're back to the bottom of the inverted head and shoulder. And we're just kind of chilling out here. That was SILJ. GDX, again, coming down, big momentum. We popped higher, we're pulling back. It looks like it's contracting. The opening and closing price is contracting here. Means we're coming to a bottom, I think. We've got hammer patterns with wicks on the bottom down here. There's buyers down below this. We'll see if this thing holds right where it's at. Metallic minerals, again, kind of a big picture view. We consolidated here. We broke to the downside, and it looks like we're trying to find some support right where it's at. And we're kind of moving, chopping sideways. Koya Resources, big old update today, 12.63%. Coming on down, we've got this downtrend line. I would say that the downtrend line's like that. Let's do the loggage. We're doing loggage, guys. Man. Kind of the trend line would be somewhere in there. We're coming back to tag that trend line. Discovery Silver up big today, 15.44%. This is a company I do like. Coming up higher. It's probably from Eric Sprott mentioning it in his weekly updates. But downtrend line's broken. We came on up and then popped higher today. We got a lot of silver that they're proving up. Lower grade ore grades. Coming on up, 1, 2, 3. We went to breakout and we're still chopping back down. For First Majestic Silver, we still need to find some buying support. We're just not finding it yet. Newmont, we're chopping sideways. That's about the best we can do. We're waiting for gold to launch. Same with silver. I think all these companies are just waiting for it to launch. We broke the descending wedge pattern. It's just chopping sideways. Hopefully we can get some traction to the upside. Yamana Gold's the same way. We're just going right to the tip of this pattern that we've got for a big flag pattern. Usually it's a continuation pattern to the upside. Impact Silver, big flag pattern broke to the upside. Another flag pattern that broke downward. And we're just kind of meandering sideways. Downtrend line broken. We're just popping sideways. AAGFF, again, we're moving on sideways. Watch out for a break to the downside. If this thing doesn't hold, you could see a pretty good fall to the downside. if this support line doesn't hold here. Here's Sand, a royalty company. Again, we're playing with this uptrend line. And it looks like we're breaking down below it. So be careful here. We might see a bigger pullback ahead of it if it can't hold. Franco-Nevada still holding inside the pattern. A little bit of an update today. That's what we've got today. A little wick at the top. I still think that this could potentially head to the downside of this pattern. EMX holding on to this downtrend line barely. It's got a nice big bullish, a hammer pattern, I should say. It's a bullish hammer pattern. Zooming in on it, I don't really get that fine of data, but it kind of came up and popped back higher on the daily at least. There it is. Teuton Resources, it popped back higher to within the pattern. It's just holding within the pattern here for Teuton Resources. Wheat and precious metals, again, it's still in its pattern. It is just chopping sideways at the moment. No clear direction. We've got gold royalty. It's right at the bottom of its pattern here. Big bearish engulfing patterns. This could break to the downside, guys. It could, with those couple of candlestick patterns. This guy's breaking to the downside, Metallo royalty. Lots of breaks to the downside. We could see, maybe we got a sell-off coming, guys. We could be seeing a sell-off here. Metallics minerals, I've got a price projecting to 370. It's coming on down. Could potentially hit 370. Royal gold, it's still within its pattern. It's holding on. And Osisko gold royalty is right at its resistance support line. Doesn't look too bad, but again, this has got to break up. I don't like seeing it hanging below its support line and bouncing off of it like it did. Hopefully we can bounce back into it. But that's what I've got for today. It looks, overall, it looks kind of weak. I mean, I wouldn't be jumping into some of these mining companies at the moment. Some of them are breaking to the downside of their patterns. Not looking good from that perspective. The market conditions ahead of us, if we're in an inflationary environment, are supportive of higher gold and silver prices. Is there something right in front of us that could potentially bring us down? Maybe. Maybe there's something out there. I'm not going to change my viewpoint. I'm still going to hold on to this stuff. If I have to ride something lower before it goes on up, so be it. If it goes right on up, then that's perfect. I'm already in it. So I try not to get too worked up on the short-term movements. I want the big picture view. And a lot of these patterns are scribing out very large patterns that could potentially break to the upside. I think that the market conditions are ripe for these to do very well. That's the expansionary phase of real estate, and that is the valuations are also ripe for them to revalue themselves to the upside, and the valuation runway is massive on these. So I'm sticking to the ratios, I'm sticking to the market conditions, and real estate is still strong. So I'm not backing away from these. That's my opinion. If you guys are scared or something and you need to raise more cash, that's up to you. But I'm sticking with them, and I definitely like the physical metals, and I will be buying into them if we see weakness and then strength again. I'm just going to continue to cost average in like I normally do. If you guys like this analysis, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and thank you for listening. This is Finding Value.